3-6 on the season are the Philadelphia Eagles after a second 27-24 loss to the Los Angeles Chargers. This is a heartbreaker, and it matters not that the Eagles look like they belonged on the same field with the now 6-3 or 5-3 Los Angeles Chargers. Does not matter. There are no moral victories in professional sports, and in particular in the NFL. Steve Nelson, not good enough today. Just wasn't good enough from a defensive perspective. They tried as best they could, even with some of the offsides penalties, even with some of the fourth downs that the Chargers made. They could not stop the Chargers when it counted. Even on that final drive that we just watched, 2 fourth downs converted to first downs to keep that drive alive for the Los Angeles Chargers. And it's a heartbreaker because the Birds do look like they belong on the field with one of the better teams in the NFL. Now 5-3 are the Chargers, but it doesn't matter because it also shows you how far away the Eagles are. Offensively and defensively, they just don't have the horses to compete with the better teams consistently in the NFL, and they damn sure don't have the play calling down yet either. Let's bring in Barrett Brooks and Ray Didinger and Seth Joyner as we watch the team come off the field. Here's Jeffrey Lurie. What can he be thinking about the way his team has performed? We are now 2 weeks come Thursday from Thanksgiving, and the Philadelphia Eagles have 0 home victories. That's got to be a tough pill to swallow. Dallas Goedert, nice job. He tried his best, made a couple of nice catches, lost part of his jersey in the process, but did not happen for him and his offensive mates. Jason Kelce going off the field as well. What are you going to do as we watch them come off? Barrett, your initial thoughts?
I mean, this isn't hand grenades, it's not horseshoes, so being close just doesn't count. I mean, it still ends up a loss. And you're talking about a team that, they were fighting. They didn't give up. They were, to the bitter end. But it just goes to show they're not far. I think they are close. They just don't know how to finish at this point.
They have the talent that you see walking off the field here. And there goes Nick Sirianni with Dom DeSandro. Do they have the talent?
I think they do have the talent. They showed that they have the talent up here. They just got to, cross their T's and dot their I's, and they don't always do that. Especially, when it counts and towards the end of games. They look remarkable, the first 3 quarters, and all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, they just couldn't stop them. They didn't have enough to stop them. You got to stop these teams in the NFL. This is a young quarterback. You got to heat him up a little bit, blitz him a little bit. I understand Slay went out, so you had to change up how you approach the game. But at the end of the day, it's, like I said, this is not, just get close to winning. You have to seal the deal, and they just didn't do it.
There's Connor Barwin coming off the field, the former
Slay.
Eagles defensive lineman. Put him in a jersey, and let's see what happens. It was difficult. Seth, as we watch the guys go off the field, the finer points of the game that we might overlook, proper foot upfield, etc., keeping quarterback inside and not letting him get outside and firing a touchdown pass. It seems like they're missing on some of that. And maybe if they were able to get it, it might mean the difference between an L and a W.
That kid, they had a tough one.
It is always about the small things, the fine print in the game of football. Because you got 1,696 players in the NFL, and when you get to this level, you have what it takes, to play the game. If you didn't, you wouldn't be on one of those rosters. It then comes down to the finer points, how you line up. I watched Josh Sweat line up today, wrong foot up, and they run a toss play to his side, and the first step that he takes is inside, and the tight ends just line up on his outside shoulder. There's no way in the world that you can be a contained player and line up that way. But week after week, I watch these coaches allow these players, to line up in that fashion. Darius Slay, the second touchdown I believe they got, he's got the tight end man-to-man. The tight end is lined up attached to the formation, and he's lined up just head up on the tight end. But his eyes are inside. He's looking at the quarterback, and he's looking in the backfield. And by the time he figures out what's going on, the tight end releases to the flat. It's a touchdown. Dude, that's your man. That's your man.
Right. Plus, there's a physical mismatch already.
You're not concerned with what's going on because that guy's going to tell you whether it's run or pass. And first and foremost, you're not even involved in the run game. That's your guy, man to man.
Yeah.
So it's the little things. Another thing.
Hang on, let me just give an official welcome to everybody to Eagles Postgame Live, presented by our friends at Cure Auto Insurance, along with Seth Joyner, Ray Didinger, Barrett Brooks. I'm Michael Barkan. In a few moments, we'll hear from Nick Sirianni about this game that drops the Eagles to 3-6 on the season as the Chargers go to 5-3 on the season. We've heard from Barrett, hearing from Seth as well. Ray, copious notes as usual. You got any thoughts on this game?
Yeah, your defense has to make a stop. They couldn't do it. The whole second half. Your offense got you back in it. Your offense had 2 scoring drives that got you right back in it. Somewhere the defense has got to make a stop, don't they? And that's it. The Chargers scored on every possession in the second half. Every possession. It happens way too often this year that the defense gives up too much. I know they had the 2 fourth-down stops in the first half. That's fine. But in the second half, when the game was going to be decided, somewhere, somebody going to get pressure on the quarterback, somebody going to tip a ball, somebody going to get a sack. Where was it? And the Eagles score a touchdown to take a lead. Chargers come on the field, and the Eagles get 2 really bad penalties. On a third down, Slay gets called for defensive holding, gives them a first down. And then a few plays later in the same possession, you got a 3rd and 6, where 3rd and 6 is not easy by any means. You got to make a play. Barnett jumps off sides. Now all of a sudden 3rd and 6 becomes 3rd and quarterback sneak. So to me, that's kind of where the thing goes. Herbert, how many times have we said it this year? Gee, a quarterback had a career day against the Eagles defense.
32 of 38. When you're throwing a ball 38 times and you miss just 6 passes, 32 of 38?
Yeah, how many times have we sat here and said, wow, career day for Derek Carr, career day for this guy. Somewhere along the line, you have to find a way to get pressure on the quarterback. Somewhere along the line, somebody's got to sack. Somebody's got to tip a ball. Somebody's got to do something.
Well, listen,
and defensively, defensively, they're just not making those plays.
Ray, you're not going to get pressure on the quarterback when you don't put your defensive backs in a position to challenge wide receivers, because everything is timing. We can talk about the pressure not getting home, but Justin Herbert wasn't like he was going to a second and third read. The majority of the plays where he threw the ball, he was throwing the ball on time, in rhythm, all the time. Now, the Eagles, in my opinion, are at a deficiency when you think about coaching. And I'm going to give you instances on both sides of the ball, okay? You cannot play a game for 60 minutes and see what the opposing team's game plan is. They basically abandoned the run because they could get whatever they wanted in the past, and you had no answer for it. The Eagles play 2 fronts, okay? They probably run 4 coverages, and they've got 2 basic blitzes that they run. From what I can observe, that's not enough. You cannot compete in the NFL with that thin of a playbook. It's impossible, because offenses are too complex and they have too many other ways that they can beat you and attack you, with so little in your playbook.
Even with those blitzes, how many times did you see the blitzes?
Listen, they were there. They actually brought a double slot blitz today, which almost got there. It looked good, but they just couldn't get there, because if you're going to blitz, that means you got to get up on the wide receivers, you got to get a hand on them at the line of scrimmage, and you got to disrupt the route. But you can't send blitzers. You can't blitz 6 guys and then play 5 or 6 yards off the ball, because they're going to adjust their routes. They got side adjustments built in, and the quarterback is just going to raise up and throw the ball to his best option. And you got 2 wide receivers that are like 6'3", 6'4", playing against cornerbacks that are barely 6 foot. So they're going to win those matches. That's the defensive side of it. Okay?
Take a look at the quarterbacks that the Eagles, the good quarterbacks that the Eagles have faced this season. Look at these guys: Derek Carr, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Dak Prescott, and today Justin Herbert. All over 80% completion rate.
I'm gonna do you one better, okay? I'm gonna give some love to one of my Twitter followers, Mike Sacca. He posted this. The Chargers completed 80% of their passes, the Raiders 91, the Lions 74, the Bucks 81, the Panthers 54, the Chiefs 80, the Cowboys 81, the 49ers 73, and the Falcons 60, okay? You can't live in the NFL giving up those types of percentages on the defensive side of the ball, and yet here we are in week 8, week 9 of the season, and you have no remedy for it. They're at a defensive deficiency because they have no answers for what they're facing. And if you can't adjust in game, then you can't win games.
Well, they're going to have an excuse, too. They're going to say, oh, well, Slake went out late in the game. Well, no, you pay those other guys that are behind them to come up and play just as hard, play just as sound. I mean, you got to have guys playing up close, tighter on these wide receivers. Way too many times I see guys 5 and 6 yards off the field. And you look at these receivers, yes, they are big receivers, but they're not fast receivers. These aren't the receivers going to beat you off the line and take you deep. You got to play up on them because they're big guys. They might be, over jump you, but don't give them the opportunity. Get in them close, and then you can alter their routes. You know what I'm saying? You're quicker than they are. These are big wide receivers that are long-legged wide receivers, not the quick guys they're used to seeing, but guys that, staggered type of running. These guys did not get up close to him, and I did not understand that. These are slower receivers as opposed to the guys they've been playing. Play tighter on them. Stop being scared. I told you before, if we lose being aggressive. Don't lose being passive. Play up on them. Take a chance. I didn't see any DBs take chances early in the down. It was always after the fact. No, I need you up early in the down in order to go out there and reroute guys, as opposed to just letting guys catch it in front of you and then going to make the tackle.
Ray made a great point in the pregame. He talked about how this Chargers offense had evolved, and they stopped taking shots down the field. They only threw one ball.
Took one deep ball today.
Just one deep ball all day today. So don't you think that your game plan should be tailored around the fact that these guys like to throw the ball short to intermediate? Instead of playing off and just giving and bending and bending and bending and bending all day long and letting the quarterback just, at one point in the second half, he was 11 for 11. At some point in time, again, I know I always say it, it's death by 1,000 cuts. You either want to die and bleed out being cut 1,000 times, or you just want to be stabbed in the heart one time and call it a day.
Yeah, here's the thing. This is the latest test that the Eagles have failed. They fall to 3 and 6. We really thought, man, if they can compete and beat the Los Angeles Chargers,
it was right
who the heck knows? But Ray, there's something called the eye test. And when you looked at the eye test, it didn't seem like the Chargers were like all that. I'm not comparing them to some of the elite teams in the NFL. It was there for the taking, wasn't it?
Sure. No, they're not an elite team. Good team. I may wind up being a playoff team, but not an elite team. And one of the things I said in the pregame that the one thing you can't give this offense, and they've demonstrated all year, is you can't give them the quick throw. You have to get somebody up on the receiver. If you give him the cushion, you give him the quick throw, he'll take the quick throw. They will take that all day. That's what I said. It puzzles me the way they run this offense, because I know Herbert has a big arm, and I know he can throw the ball down the field. But they are because of the new coordinator, they have evolved into a dink and dunk team, and you let them do that all day. And this to me really does come back to coaching, because the Eagles had the last 2 games against the Chargers. 2 defensive coordinators stymied this offense. Okay, Wink Martindale did it with Baltimore, and Belichick did it last week with the Patriots, where they took away. This offense is predicated on pre-snap look. That's everything. It's all pre-snap, and it goes beyond pre-snap. It's pre-snap. It's pre-snap determination. They come up to the line of scrimmage. He takes one look, and he knows before he's got the ball in his hand where he's going to go with it. And where Baltimore had success and beat them, and where the Patriots had success and beat them, was they changed, when the ball was snapped, they changed into another defense. So they took that pre-snap determination and flipped it at the snap of the ball, and Herbert wound up holding the ball trying to figure out where to go with it. Eagles didn't do that. They sat in one look, and they let him move the ball down the field. They made it so easy for him, and it bothers me that this coaching staff had all of that tape for the last 2 weeks on how teams shut this offense down, and they didn't adjust to it. They came out and played their same style of defense when they saw there was another one that they could have used and used more effectively.
This just in. Go ahead, Seth. What do you have?
Read that and tell me we had keys to the game. My keys to the game. Read what that says.
Defensive disguises and pressure on Herbert.
There you go.
Yeah, we've talked about that all season. The lack of defensive, the lack of pre-snap change. defensively.
And it was
for the
on
Eagles.
and it was on tape from the last 2 games.
Now, are you saying then? I just want to clarify that Jonathan Gannon will not be the next Bill Belichick. Is that what I think you're implying?
I think I am suggesting that.
Just wanted to make sure.